Hello students. Students, today we are going to start a new chapter of your syllabus, that is chapter number 7. The name of the chapter is Plant Growth and Mineral Nutrition. Students, in this chapter we are going to discuss about what we mean by the growth in plants. Then we'll be also discussing about various patterns of growth, various phases of growth, and the growth hormones, which are considered to be very essential for regulating the growth of the plant. And then we'll be moving to a part where we'll be discussing about photoperiodism. That means the long day plant, the short day plant, the phytochromes and all of that. So let us start this chapter by studying the plant growth. Now, when we speak about growth, we know that it is a characteristic feature of all living beings. And when we speak about growth as a phenomena, it has two aspects, the quantitative aspect as well as the qualitative aspect. So when we speak about quantitative aspect is when we measure the growth in length, breadth, volume, size, you can say the body mass, number of cells, the fresh weight or the dry weight, and all of that. So when we speak about quantitative change, growth as a quantitative change, it is the final end product of a successive metabolism. But when we speak about the qualitative change, that is the qualitative aspect of growth, we actually speak about the change with reference to the progress while changing into something better, something complex. Okay, it is the growth and development, the change that occurs after a growth and development that forms something complex. So that is how, when we talk about plant growth can be defined as irreversible, permanent increase in size of the entire plant or an organ or a tissue or even a cell. Okay. So plant growth, it can be defined as an irreversible change. It is completely irreversible. It cannot be reversed back again. It is irreversible change. Permanent increase in size of the entire plant. It can be an entire plant. It can be just an organ. It can be a tissue or a cell of a plant. Okay. So this is what is plant growth. And this growth in plant, it is always accompanied by metabolism. Okay, so as we have discussed the quantitative growth, if we talk about the quantitative aspect of growth, it is the change of the final end product with a progressive metabolism. So that is the quantitative aspect of growth. So that is how we can say that growth is always accompanied by metabolism. The next point is that the growth in plants is indeterminate, or you can also say that it is an open form of growth. Now, this is what we need to keep in mind when we discuss this chapter. The growth in plants, it is indeterminate. That means the plants, they grow throughout their lifespan, which is not in the case of animals. In case of animals, the animals, they grow to a certain age, and after that age, the growth becomes stationary. There is no further growth. But in plants, the growth in plants is indeterminate, or you can say it is an open form of growth. So there are meristematic cells which are continuously dividing. That means there are certain cells which are continuously dividing and helping the plant to increase the plant body size, or you can say increase the size of a certain organ or a tissue or a cell. So that is how we can say that the plant growth is indeterminate. The next point is the growth in plants is measurable. Okay. Now measuring the growth of the plant, it is not very easy, but it is actually measured by measuring the protoplasmic content. Okay. So it is actually measuring the increase in the protoplasmic content. and this can be measured by certain comparable factors like increase in fresh weight or dry weight. Like suppose if you take a plant, a fresh plant, okay, and you weigh it as an initial weight, and then after a certain period of time, after an interval of time, you take the final weight also. So the difference between the final and the initial weight can tell you the increase in the protoplasmic content. Then we can measure the growth of the plant by also the increase in the number of cells or increase in the length, etc. So these are the things that we need to keep in mind when we speak about plant growth. First, the growth in the plant, it is irreversible. It is a permanent increase in size, and this increase in size can be either the size increased in the complete plant body, it can be a certain organ, tissue or cell, and this is always accompanied by metabolism. Then the next point was growth in plant is indeterminate. That means the plant, it grows throughout its life. There are certain meristematic cells that keep on dividing and helping the plant to increase its size. Then the growth in plant is measurable. That means the protoplasmic content, the increase in the protoplasmic content of the plant, it can be measured by using certain comparable factors. Now, next let us move to the phase of growth in plants. So, this phase of growth in plants we had discussed in the 6th chapter, the previous chapter, when we were studying about the roots, okay, the structure of the roots. So, we had seen that the root had it was divided into various regions. There was this meristematic region, then the elongation region, and then the maturation region. So, when we talk about the phase of growth, there is always at the tip of the root, there is always a meristematic cell. There are certain meristematic cells, the apical meristems, which divide, and then the divided cells, the cells which divide mitotically in this meristematic region, they enlarge into the enlargement zone, okay, the elongation zone. So in the elongation zone, these cells, they enlarge. That means they become turgid. Okay, they become turgid and their protoplasmic content increases. And then in the maturation zone, it is differentiated. That means they become specialized for performing special function. So that is how they become differentiated. So corresponding to this, there are 3 phases that we need to study in the growth of plant. So let us study the 3 phases of growth seen in plants. The first one is phase of cell division or cell formation. So this is the phase that takes place in the meristematic cell. So this is the apical meristem region, and this particular phase takes place in this region. The cell of the meristem are thin-walled. They are thin-walled, but they have a proper prominent nucleus with granular cytoplasm, but they are non-vacuolated, okay? And these cells in the meristem, they undergo mitotic division. Now we know that when a cell, it undergoes mitotic division, it will form 2 cells. Now when this meristematic cell, they undergo a mitotic division and form 2 cells, out of these 2 cells, one of the cell, it remains as a meristematic cell, and the other cell will undergo enlargement and then further differentiation to form a specialized structure. So this was about the phase of cell division or the cell formation. Now the rate of growth in this phase, it is at a very slow pace, and as it is at a very slow pace, this phase is also known as a lag phase. Okay, so if we plot a graph of the growth or increase in the size of a particular plant or organism against the time, the initial curve that we get, the initial curve on the graph that we get is the lag phase, or this is the phase of cell division or cell formation. After this, let us move to the next phase, that is phase of cell enlargement or cell elongation. So in this phase, the newly formed cells, they become vacuolated and osmotically active. Now when they become vacuolated and when they become osmotically active, they increase their protoplasmic content, and as they increase their protoplasmic content, it becomes turgid due to the absorption of water and various minerals. The turgidity results in enlargement of the cell. It enlarges both lengthwise as well as the breadthwise enlargement. In this phase, new wall material and other cell materials are synthesized to cope up with the enlargement. Okay, so to cope up with this enlargement, there are new wall materials that are synthesized in each and every cell, and there are certain other cell materials that are synthesized. Now, the growth at this phase occurs at a very accelerated pace, and as it is an accelerated and a steady growth, this particular growth is also known as exponential or log phase. Okay, so when we see in this graph, after the lag phase, that was a slow pace, okay, that we had seen in the phase of cell division, then there is a log or an exponential phase where the growth, it takes place on an accelerated pace. Now after the second phase of growth, let us move to the next one, that is the phase of cell maturation or cell differentiation. Now the enlarged cell, that is the cell with which is turgid with a protoplasmic content, it is vacuolated and have special cell material, they become specialized to perform specific function, and they attain maturity both morphologically as well as physiologically. So here you can see the change in the growth, okay, the phases of growth. This is the formative phase, that is when the cells are being formed or it is being divided. Then the elongation phase, and then at the morphological phase, you can see that there are at the maturation phase, you can see that there are morphological changes as well as there are physiological changes. Now in this phase, the rate of growth slows down again, okay. After reaching a certain point of growth, the growth, it slows down again, and now it becomes in a very stationary and steady state, and hence this phase is known as stationary phase. Okay, so these were the three phases of growth. The first one is phase of cell division or cell formation, where the meristematic cell, they divide mitotically, forming two cells, and out of these two cells, one cell, it remains a meristematic cell, and the other cell will further go for enlargement and differentiation. The next phase is phase of cell enlargement. Now the cell which is come up for this phase, that is cell enlargement and elongation, it becomes vacuolated, it becomes turgid because now it is osmotically active, so it can absorb all the water and all the minerals, and it can increase its protoplasmic content, so it becomes turgid, and this turgidity results into the enlargement of the cell both lengthwise as well as breadthwise. So various cell material and various cell wall material are synthesized in this phase. Then the third phase is the phase of cell maturation or the differentiation. Now the enlarged cell, they enter into this phase and become specialized to perform special functions. And when we say they perform specific special function, they attain maturity both morphologically as well as physiologically. And at this phase, at the phase of cell maturation, the growth of the cell, it becomes very steady and it becomes very stationary. After this, let us move to the next part, that is the conditions for growth. Here we will see what are the conditions that are required for the growth. So the different environmental and physiological conditions which are necessary for growth, it includes water, It includes the supply of nutrients, the temperature, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen ratio, the gravitational force, light, and the growth hormones. So these are different environmental as well as physiological conditions that work together and help in the growth of a particular plant. So let us see what are the explanation to this in detail. So the chief conditions are explained below. The first one is water. Water, it is essential component of protoplasm and maintain the turgidity of the cell. So as we said, once the cell it enters the phase of elongation, it becomes turgid. How it becomes turgid? It becomes turgid by absorbing the water, because now it is osmotically active. So when it absorbs the water, it becomes turgid. That means now the component of protoplasm, or the protoplasmic content of the particular plant, it has increased. So water, it is essential component for increasing the protoplasmic content of the plant and maintaining the turgidity of the cell. Then it acts as an aqueous medium for biochemical reaction. Now when we say it acts as an aqueous medium for biochemical reaction, it is the best aqueous medium for any biochemical reaction to take place in a particular cell. So when we say that, that means that it is the best raw material for the performance of photosynthesis in plants. So water, you can also say that it is a raw material for photosynthesis to take place in plant. The next one is micro elements and macro element nutrients. So when we say nutrients, we mean both the micronutrients as well as the macronutrients. And these nutrients, they are required for the synthesis of this protoplasm and maintain the proper growth of the plant. The third condition is optimum temperature ranges between 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. So for a proper growth of the plant requires an optimum temperature range, and this optimum temperature range is 25 to 30 degrees Celsius. So temperature, it is one of the most important, or one of the important aspect of that shows the condition of the growth in the plant, because temperature, it also acts as it is required for the optimum synthesis of enzyme. Okay, so it helps in optimum enzyme activity. So optimum temperature range is very important in plant growth. The next one is oxygen is essential for aerobic respiration and release of energy. So oxygen, it is very essential, first thing for aerobic respiration, and the second, due to this aerobic respiration, there is this release in energy, that is the ATP formation. That is of course required for various other functions. Then the next one is light. Light, it is very much essential for germination of the seed and photosynthesis. So along with water, along with oxygen, there is also light that is very much essential for performing the photosynthesis process. Then the gravitational force. The gravitational force, it decides the direction of the growth of the shoot and the root. So gravitational force is again very important. And the last one is phytohormones. Now phytohormones are certain growth hormones that are that helps as a regulator in plant growth. So we'll be discussing about this phytohormones in details later in this chapter, but for now it is a condition for growth, a proper growth of the plant. So phytohormones are plant growth regulators. They help in regulating the plant growth. So this was all about today's lecture, where we have studied about the plant growth, and where we have seen that the two important points, that the plant growth is indeterminate, that is it grows throughout its life, and the plant growth is measurable. That is, we can measure the increase in the protoplasmic content by using various comparable factors. Then we have seen the phases of growth, where we have seen the first phase as the phase of cell division, where the meristematic cells divide, and one of the divided cell becomes the meristematic cell again, and the other cell, it further goes into the next phase for elongation and differentiation. The second phase that we have seen is cell enlargement or cell elongation phase. Here the cells which have entered this phase, they become vacuolated, they become turgid because they are osmotically active, and they increase their protoplasmic content by absorption of water and minerals through their root hairs. So this was the phase of cell enlargement. The cells, they become enlarged. And then the phase of cell maturation. The enlarged cell, now they become specialized to perform specific function, and they attain maturity both morphologically as well as physiologically. After the phases of growth, we have seen the conditions that is required for a proper growth in plant, where the chief conditions are water, the micro and the macro element nutrients, that is both the micronutrients as well as the macronutrients, optimum temperature, which is right temperature is 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, oxygen, light, the gravitational force, and the phytohormones, which are the plant regulators. Now, in the next part, we will be further discussing about the plant growth.